in this scenario, you have to maximize the profit. Then, what are we going to do? The concept that is used to maximize the profit or minimize the wastage is called linear inequations. So ये वाली चीज है जहां पर ये मैथ्स का कंसेप्ट बहुत ज्यादा यूज होता है when you have to maximize the profit and when you have to minimize the losses or minimize the wastage. Hello learners, this is Dr. Rishi from the Learners Academy. Today we are going to talk about linear inequations. Just imagine, you have a company, you are owner of the company. That company produces two products, you have two machines and there are two raw materials that are to be used. Now, in this scenario, you have to maximize the profit. Then, what are we going to do? The concept that is used to maximize the profit or minimize the wastage is called linear inequations. So ये वाली चीज है जहां पर ये मैथ्स का कंसेप्ट बहुत ज्यादा यूज होता है when you have to maximize the profit and when you have to minimize the losses or minimize the wastage. Simple सा एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं, एक रियल लाइफ एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं. You are buying furniture. तो आप जब भी किसी फर्नीचर स्टोर में जाते हो तो वहां पर दो ऑप्शंस मिलते हैं, एक रेडीमेड फर्नीचर है, एक कस्टम डिजाइन फर्नीचर है. If you would compare the prices, the custom designed furniture is always expensive than the ready-made furniture. So is true with ready-made clothes and custom designed clothes. So why is it so? Because whenever we are going for ready-made things or ready-made articles, तो उसमें whenever the company is manufacturing it, वो अपना loss minimize करती है या फिर wastage minimize करती है. Things are produced at a mass scale और उस वजह से they can sell it at a cheaper rate. तो for instance furniture है, cupboards बना रहा है कोई बंदा, then that person is going to make sure कि जो boards मिलते हैं, जो wooden boards में जिससे cupboards बनते हैं, they come in a standard format. That is the width, they come in standard rectangular sheets that is 4 feet wide and 8 feet long. This is an example of a person who is manufacturing cupboards. So they can use that 4x8 का sheet in such a way that वो maximize अपना जो loss है, अपना जो wastage है वो minimize कर सके और अपनी जो number of cupboards है वो maximize कर सके. So without losing any time, let us dive into this concept called linear inequations. This concept is introduced in 10th standard ICSE and for CBSE and State Board, it is introduced in 11th and 12th. So, if you are in any other board, please make sure that you just go through this video so that you can use it in the later part of your life for your 11th and 12th. The name tells a lot of things. यहाँ पर बहुत important चीज है, that is inequations. Inequations. अब ये inequations जब अपन बात करते हैं, inequations जब अपन बात करते हैं तो we are going to talk about 4 inequality signs. अगर आप बोलोगे सर inequality signs क्या होती है? Equal to का साइन तो पता है, inequality का साइन क्या है? तो we have inequality signs. कौन सा होंगे वो? It would be less than, greater than, less than equal to and greater than equal to. Yes? So जिस कोई भी equation में instead of having an equal to sign, we have any one of these signs, that kind of equation would be called as a linear inequation. Okay, so we'll not call it an equation, we'll call it a inequation. The standard form of a linear inequation would be ax plus by is less than c, ax plus by is greater than c, ax plus by is less than equal to c, or ax plus by is greater than or equal to c. So we got 4 inequations here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. All 4 of them would mean different. So if we have to, we would be either we can either minimize or maximize a certain quantity. So ये 4 inequations are मेरे पास, and we are going to deal with these 4 inequations. Okay, what is going to be our end product, or what are we going to do? Effectively, we are going to find the value of x and y. Okay, so if you find the value of x and find the value of y, then we would be getting the answer. So ये चीज बहुत important है, ये understand करना कि these are somewhat similar to linear equations that we studied. फर्क ये है कि in linear equations we would get one value of x, one value of y. Here we would get multiple values of x and multiple values of y. We call it the solution set. ऐसा क्यों होगा? बड़ा सिंपल सी बात है कि if I have x less than 4, which means x can be anything with 4 to minus infinity. Okay, तो ये चीज ध्यान में रखना बहुत important है. Okay, so this is the standard form of linear inequation. अभी आगे देखते हैं अपन कि इनको अपन solve कैसे करेंगे. This year we are going to talk about inequations in only one variable. In year 11th and 12th we would be dealing with inequations in 2 variables. So basically our equations, so what are the operations that we are going to do? So first rulers, what is going to happen if you take a positive term from one side to the other side? Okay, so कुछ चीजें जो similar are going to be similar to the equation part, पर कुछ चीजें तो थोड़ा सा फर्क रहेगा इसमें. So let us see what we have here. So if I have ax plus b is greater than c, okay, तो अगर मुझे ये b को दूसरी साइड को लेके जाना है, तो all I'll have to do is I'll have to write ax plus b minus b is greater than c minus b. I'm subtracting the same term on both the sides. So I'll let ax is greater than or equal to c minus b. If you could remember, this is the same transposing thing that we did in equations when we started talking about equations in 8th standard. कि अगर positive term है और उसको एक साइड से दूसरी साइड को लेके जाना है, तो we'll make it negative. So the b that was plus b here, it went to the other side, it became minus b. So let us take few examples of it. So if I have say 3x plus 7 is greater than 4x is greater than 4, then I will write it as 3x is greater than 4 minus 7, or 3x is greater than minus 3. So this is how we are going to solve any inequation. Any equation when we have a positive term. Now the sign here would not actually matter when we are just transposing a plus part. So whether it is greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, you don't have to worry about it. The algorithm would be exactly the same. Now let us go ahead and talk about rule number 2. In rule number 2 we have, say suppose ax minus b है अपने पास and it is greater than c. Then we'll do exactly the same thing. There is a minus b here. It goes to the other side. Then by transposing laws, it should become plus. So we get ax is greater than c plus d. Okay. So this is the second rule. So if it's a negative term and we are taking it to the other side of the inequation, no signs would change. There won't be any changes. We would just take it to the other side. And if it's minus on this side, we would add it on the other side. So the plus and the minus terms, if transposed from one side to the other side, it is exactly same to what we did in an equation. Now let us check out rule number 3. Rule number 3 states that if each side of an inequation is multiplied by a positive integer or by a positive number, the sign does not change. Very crucial to keep it in mind. So say if I have x is greater than y, then Px will be greater than y, Py. If x is less than y, then Px will be less than y. If x is greater than or equal to y, then Px is greater than or equal to Py, and if x is less than or equal to y, then Px will be less than or equal to Py. So, in all these conditions, what do we see? If you take a positive number p and you multiply it out, then the answer in the final part, the sign in the final part would not actually change. Now let us go ahead to the next rule. Now let us go ahead to the second part of the same rule, which says that if you divide it by a positive number, the sign will also remain the same. Meaning, if x is greater than y, then x by p will be greater than y by p. If x is less than y, then x by p will be less than y by p. If x is greater than or equal to y, then x by p will be less than or so it would be greater than or equal to y by p. And if x is less than or equal to y, then x by p will be less than or equal to y by p. So in all these equations, we can see that according to rule number 3, if we are multiplying or dividing by a positive integer, then the sign would not change. After this, we would talk about the rule number 4. Positive का तो देख लिया आपने कि what happens when you divide or multiply by a positive number. Now what would happen if you divide or multiply by a negative number? ये बहुत crucial है. So we'll have to take each and every example separately so that you understand it correctly. Because the first 3 rules were exactly similar to the linear equation wala part, so we have not actually gone into the examples for it. But this rule varies a bit. तो इसमें देखेंगे, if I have say x is less than y, then x divided by minus p will be greater than y divided by minus p. अभी आप बोलोगे सर ऐसे कैसे? So let's take a demonstration of this. So say 4 is greater than 3. I divide both of them by say 2 by minus 2. So if I have 4 by minus 2 is equal to minus 2, and 3 by minus 2 is equal to minus 1.5. Now which of these two is greater? So just by looking at it, we can say that minus 1.5 is greater, which would mean that 4 by minus 2 is smaller than 3 by minus 2. So proving my point that the line in the sign in the inequation would become exactly opposite if divided or multiplied by a negative integer. Division तो अपन ने कर लिया, multiplication देख लेते हैं. So we can also say that minus px will be greater than minus py. Same example अगर अपन repeat करते तो क्या हो जाएगा मेरा? 4 is greater than 3. तो 2 से multiply कर रहे हैं इधर अपन, तो minus 2 से multiply कर रहे हैं तो it would give me 4 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 8, and 3 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 6. So it would imply that if I multiply it by minus 2, I can get the answer as 4 minus 8 is smaller than minus 6. Okay, proving my point that the sign would become ulta or opposite if multiplied or divided by a negative number. So either we are multiplying it or we are dividing it by a negative number. In both the cases, जो इधर less than का sign था, it would become greater than the sign. So in both the cases, अगर अपन उसको multiply भी कर रहे हैं या फिर divide भी कर रहे हैं by a negative number, then the sign that was there, the inequality sign that was there, it would get reversed. Now after this we will see rule number 5. Rule number 5 tells us what happens if we change the sign of the numbers on both the sides. अब ये काफी logical चीज है. When are we going to change the sign on both the sides? There is only one way to do it, and that is multiplying both sides by -1. So effectively अपन क्या कर रहे हैं? अपन दोनों साइड को -1 से मल्टीप्लाई कर रहे हैं. So if we are multiplying by a negative number, my rule number 4 tells me the sign gets reversed. That means if I have x is greater than y, then minus x will be less than minus y. दोनों को मैंने -1 से मल्टीप्लाई किया. लॉजिकल सेंस में बनता है. अगर 5 is greater than 3, then -5 will be greater than, -5 would be less than -3. Same way, if I have -3 is greater than -5, दोनों को मल्टीप्लाई किया -1 से, दोनों के साइंस चेंज कर दिए मैंने, तो I get 3 is less than 5. Okay, so it will give me a logical idea कि हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पर. Okay, अभी आगे देखेंगे क्या हो रहा है. तो we will go ahead with the next rule that is there, that is rule number 6. Rule number 6 is the last rule, which basically tells us that if both the sides of an inequation have same sign and we take the reciprocal, then the sign gets changed. So, for instance, if I have x is greater than y, then 1 upon x will always be less than 1 upon y. Same way, minus x is greater than minus y, then 1 upon minus x or minus 1 upon x would be less than minus 1 upon y. तो ये भी काफी लॉजिकल है. If we consider a number का system here, so say if we have 3 is greater than 2, we know that 1/3 is less than 1/2. Same way, if we have minus 2 is greater than -3, you take the reciprocal, it becomes -1/2, which would always be less than -1/3. Because -1/3 is going to be closer to 0 as compared to -1/2. It is -0.33 and this is -0.5. So this is going to happen when both of them are having same signs. What if they don't have the same sign? Then what would happen? So let us give it a quick review and see. So I have x is greater than -y. Now I am taking the reciprocals. Then what happens? I get, let's take a real life example to understand what would happen here. So I have 2 is greater than -3. Now, if I take the reciprocal, I'll have half, which is greater than -1/3. It would always be like this. So if they have different signs, if they have different signs, then the sign in the middle would not change. That is, if one of them is positive, one of them is negative, whatever the sign is there in the middle, it would not change, because obviously one part is going to give us a negative answer and the other part would give us a positive answer. Now, let us go ahead and talk about a different concept here after these rules, that is replacement set and solution set. So replacement set is, जैसे मैंने पहले बोला कि here we are going to get multiple values of x. तो इससे दिक्कत क्या है कि multiple values है, मतलब कहाँ से लाएंगे values? ओके, तो इसके लिए अपने को लगेगा रिप्लेसमेंट सेट. रिप्लेसमेंट सेट इज द सेट फ्रॉम व्हिच दीज वैल्यूज कैन बी टेकन. सो व्हाट कैन बी योर रिप्लेसमेंट सेट? इट कैन बी सेट ऑफ नेचुरल नंबर्स, इट कैन बी सेट ऑफ रैशनल नंबर्स, इरेशनल नंबर्स, रियल नंबर्स. These kind of sets is what we are going to use. Let's go back to the first problem that we talked about, where बंदा कबर्ड बना रहा था और उसको प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइज करना था, उसको वेस्टेज मिनिमाइज करना था. In that case, what is going to happen? Okay, तो वहां पर अपना रिप्लेसमेंट सेट हमेशा नेचुरल नंबर रहेगा, नॉट इवन होल नंबर, बिकॉज भाई साहब को कबर्ड बनाने दो अलग अलग साइजेस के. अगर दो अलग अलग साइजेस कबर्ड बनाए तो एक कबर्ड का वैल्यू 0, एक नंबर ऑफ वन कबर्ड कांट बी 0. उसको कुछ तो कबर्ड बनाने पड़ेंगे. या सो set of natural numbers would be the replacement set in that particular example. It would depend from problem to problem what this replacement set would be. So you need to keep this in your mind कि ये replacement set आप कहाँ पे ले रहे हो. Many a times the replacement set is given in the question itself. At least for the 10th standard it is given in the question. 11, 12, many times they don't give it in the question. They think that you are smart enough to figure out what the replacement set would be. Then we have the solution set. So solution set is कि मेरे answers कौन से होने वाले हैं. So वो कहाँ से आएंगे? There would be two criteria for it. One would be my inequation का value, one would be my variable का value, and one would be my replacement set का value. So let us go ahead and solve an example to understand what would be the replacement set and the solution set for that particular example. This is example number 1 from 10th ICSE chapter 4. So it tells us that we have to find the solution set when the replacement set is set of natural numbers. Okay, the first equation given is 3x plus 4 is less than 16. Okay, so how are we going to solve it? First thing, we have to take the 4 on the other side. So this 4 goes on the other side, this 4 is a plus 4, goes on the other side, it becomes minus 4. So I can write is less than 16 minus 4. So 3x is less than 12. Now this x, I have to find the value of this x. So this 3 goes on the other side, it is multiplied here, transposed on the other side, it would get divided. So I would get x is less than 12 by 3, giving me x is less than 4. So this is telling me that x is less than 4. And what is my replacement set? My replacement set is set of natural numbers. Meaning ये कौन से numbers है? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until infinity. तो मेरे x का value क्या हो सकता है? It can be less than 4. So my x will be, I'll write it in the set notation. These are the values of x that I am going to get. These are the values of x that we are going to get. That is 1, 2 and 3. In the next session, we are going to solve some examples in this particular topic. Today, we have discussed what linear equations are and what are the rules associated. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. Please stay tuned, subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. Keep waiting for the next video where we are going to talk about solving a lot of examples on this particular topic. This was Dr. Rishi from the Learners Academy. Thank you.